Missing child Oakley Carlson. Oakley was last seen on February 10, 2021. Missing since February 10, 2021. Missing from Oakville, WA. December 6, 2016. Age now 6. Sex, female. Race, white. Hair color, brown. Eye color, brown. Height, 3 feet 0 inches. Weight, 50 pounds. 1-800-843-5678, Grays Harbor Sheriff's Office, Washington, 1-360-533-8765.
you, Oakley? Mary Poppins! Can you turn around? Oh.
Oh my goodness.
Daddy got that for you. Can you say thank you, Daddy?
Thank you, Daddy.
Look at me. Say thank you.
Cheese.
Missing Child Oakley Carlson article from April 22, 2022. Timeline of events: the search for 5-year-old Oakley Carlson. The Grays Harbor County Sheriff's Office is asking anyone who saw 5-year-old Oakley Carlson over the past year to come forward. Grays Harbor County, Washington, where is Oakley Carlson? That is the question investigators in Grays Harbor County have been trying to answer since the 5-year-old was reported missing in early December. Detectives believe the circumstances surrounding the child's disappearance are suspicious and criminal in nature. Law enforcement was first alerted to Oakley's disappearance after the principal of Oakville Elementary School called the Grays Harbor County Sheriff's Office saying she was concerned for the 5-year-old's safety. Deputies arrested Oakley's parents, identified as Andrew Carlson and Jordan Bowers, in December 2021. They've been charged with endangering another one of their children by withholding medicine. Investigators searched the family's property for 7 days looking for Oakley but found nothing. Grays Harbor County Undersheriff Brad Johansson said investigators believe Oakley was last seen alive on February 10, 2021. Oakley's parents claim they last saw her on November 30. Anyone with information about Oakley's disappearance is asked to contact the Grays Harbor County Sheriff's Office non-emergency number at 360-533-8765 or contact Detective SGT Paul Logan at 360-964-1729 or by email at sodetectives@co.grays-harbor.wa.us. Is a timeline of events surrounding Oakley's disappearance put together from court documents and previous King 5 reporting. August 2017, Oakley is sent to live with foster parents, Eric and Jamie Jo Hiles. Oakley's foster mom told King 5 there were multiple red flags while the 5-year-old was in their care. October 2019, Jamie Jo Hiles said the state contacted her and her husband that Oakley was going to be placed back in her parents' care. November 2019, Oakley is returned to her biological parents, Andrew Carlson and Jordan Bowers. December 25, 2020, Oakley goes to her grandparents' home for Christmas with her family. During the investigation, Oakley's grandmother told police Oakley didn't look well. According to court documents, Oakley's grandmother told police Oakley had dark circles under her eyes, pale skin, and that she had scratches or sores on her face. Oakley's grandmother called Child Protective Services, CPS, after seeing Oakley, but never heard anything about it after that time. Court documents say Oakley's grandmother contacting CPS regarding Oakley made great waves within the family, and Oakley's parents have not spoken to or seen the grandparents since then. February 10, 2021, Oakley was last seen alive by someone who was associated with the family, Johansson said. Investigators previously believed Oakley was last seen alive on January 27. November 6, 2021, Andrew Carlson calls dispatch just before 5 p.m. to report a fire at the family home earlier in the day. He told dispatchers his daughter used a cigarette lighter and caught the couch on fire and said he put the fire out himself. He said a response wasn't needed but wanted to report the fire. Bowers had also told others Oakley had started the fire and that she and her husband fought the fire for about 4 hours, court documents say. Fire investigators later confirmed there was a fire at the home, but said they believed the fire started from the microwave on the kitchen counter. November 10, 2021, Oakville Elementary School Principal Jessica Swift went to Oakley's home to bring the family supplies after the fire and stayed at the house for about 45 minutes. When Swift asked about Oakley, her parents told Swift that Oakley was in her room. November 24, 2021, Swift went back to Oakley's home to drop off more supplies. Swift told police she saw the other 3 children, but not Oakley, and left after about 5 minutes. December 4, 2021, Oakley's 6-year-old sibling goes to Swift's home for a playdate and sleepover. When Swift asked about Oakley, the sibling got upset and said, "Oakley is no more," according to court documents. When Swift asked about Oakley again, the sibling said Oakley went to live with her foster parents that she had lived with before. Deputies later confirmed to Swift that Oakley was no longer in foster care. December 5, 2021, Swift asked Oakley's sibling if Oakley lived with them and was told no. The sibling then told Swift that Oakley was living with her former foster parents. Swift contacted the Grays Harbor County Sheriff's Office saying she was concerned for Oakley's safety and requested a welfare check. December 6, 2021, the Tumwater Police Department conducted a welfare check at the hotel Oakley's family was staying at after the fire. Responding officers said Oakley was not at the hotel. Andrew Carlson told officers Oakley was with his parents, but said he didn't know his father's phone number and could not remember the address of his father's home. Officers reached out to Andrew Carlson's father, who said he had not seen Oakley since December 2020, according to court documents. Officers reported Andrew Carlson did not seem surprised that Oakley wasn't with his parents. Officers spoke with Bowers and she became uncooperative and refused to answer further questions and went back into the hotel room, according to documents. After officers left the hotel, Andrew Carlson called dispatch to report Oakley missing. Officers went to the family's home after they left the hotel. After arriving at the family home, law enforcement drafted a search warrant for the residence that was approved. During a search of the family's home, toys and clothing were located for all of the children except Oakley. Blood was found on the blinds and the front door, as well as a handprint on the wall in the downstairs hallway.
When Oakley's parents were questioned another time by law enforcement, Bowers became uncooperative and was arrested for obstructing an investigation. During questioning, Andrew Carlson had limited information about Oakley's whereabouts and made statements to the effect of Oakley being dead, or not coming back for a reunion, court documents say. Andrew Carlson and Bowers were arrested on charges of obstruction of law enforcement and first-degree manslaughter. December 7, 2021. Officials continue searching the family property. The Grays Harbor County Sheriff's Office posted on Facebook asking for the public's help locating Oakley. December 8, 2021. Grays Harbor Sheriff's Office detectives, Washington State Patrol troopers and the FBI were seen searching the areas surrounding the family's property, which covers about 300 acres. Video taken by King 5 shows crime scene tape at the end of the home's driveway and tents set up in the yard. Investigators also appeared to be digging. December 9, 2021. The Grays Harbor County Sheriff's Office announced Bowers and Andrew Carlson face charges of abandonment of a dependent person in the second degree after investigators discovered evidence the parents had not been providing medication prescribed to their other daughter for 15 months. The medication is necessary for the 6-year-old's health, and going without it puts her at risk of physical impairment, which could eventually result in death, investigators said. Oakley's parents are no longer being held on the charge of first-degree manslaughter. Johansson said the ground search of the family home and property was extensive, and the sheriff's office also brought in divers and aircraft. December 12, 2021. A Change.org petition pushing for new laws protecting foster children hits 2,000 online signatures. The petition calls for a law passed that would create a 5-point system of support to check in on children who are returning to families after exiting the foster care system and to mandate long-term drug testing for families who are reunified with their children. December 13, 2021. Johansson told King 5 detectives are still working on the case, but investigators finished searching the family house and property. December 15, 2021. Oakley's grandparents, whom officers say helped with the investigation, released the following statement. The Carlson family have been and continue to be fully cooperating with this investigation. Our only objective is to find our granddaughter Oakley. We're praying that Oakley will be found soon and also for the multitude of good people working around the clock to make that happen. We ask that the media respect our privacy during this very difficult time, and we do not wish to make any further statement for now. Thank you. December 17, 2021. The Oakley's law petition ends with nearly 7,000 signatures. Representative Mike Chapman of the 24th Legislative District, Oakley's district, gave the following statement to King 5. I met with Representative Tana Sen and staff from the Washington State Department of Children, Youth, and Families DCYF today to discuss policy and budget options. We should have a better scope of solutions when we meet in January. December 30, 2021. Bowers and Andrew Carlson appeared in court for allegedly not providing medication to Oakley's 6-year-old sibling for 15 months, which is necessary for the child's health. Grays Harbor County Superior Court Judge Catherine Svoboda found probable cause for one count of abandonment of a dependent person in the second degree against both Bowers and Carlson. Bail was set at $150,000. Bowers and Carlson are expected back in court for their arraignment on January 10, 2022. The abandonment charges are unrelated to the investigation into the disappearance of Oakley, although Chief Criminal Deputy Jason Walker alleged during Thursday's hearing that Bowers and Carlson clearly know what happened to the 5-year-old child, and they're not saying anything. Before Thursday's court hearing, Demonstrators gathered outside the Grays Harbor County Courthouse demanding justice for Oakley. January 10, 2022, Andrew Carlson appeared before a Grays Harbor County Superior Court judge and entered a not guilty plea on abandonment charges related to another child. Jordan Bowers was scheduled to be arraigned Monday afternoon. Judge Dave Edwards set a trial date of April 19, 2022. The trial is scheduled to last 4 days. Edwards said Andrew Carlson and Bowers' cases have been joined, so both parents will be on trial at the same time. Grays Harbor County Superior Court Judge Catherine Svoboda previously found probable cause for 1 count of abandonment of a dependent person in the 2nd degree against both Bowers and Carlson. The charge is a Class C felony punishable by up to 5 years in prison and a $10,000 fine. Bail was previously set at $150,000. February 7, 2022, Bowers and Andrew Carlson were charged with 2 counts of endangerment with a controlled substance in addition to 1 count of abandonment. The endangerment charge came after investigators found they were not providing Oakley's 6-year-old sibling with the medication necessary for the child's health for 15 months. Both pleaded not guilty to all charges. March 14, 2022, Andrew Carlson pleaded guilty to 2 counts of endangerment with a controlled substance Monday morning. The charges are not related to the 5-year-old's disappearance. Endangerment with a controlled substance is a Class B felony with a maximum punishment of 10 years in prison and or a $20,000 fine. However, Judge Catherine Svoboda said the expected sentencing in Andrew Carlson's case is 6 to 12 months for each count due to the plea agreement. Svoboda said the state is expected to recommend a sentence at the top of the standard range of 12 months. Andrew Carlson's sentencing is scheduled for 9 a.m. on March 28. Bowers also appeared briefly in court Monday morning for a pretrial hearing, but her hearing was rescheduled to March 21. Bowers is charged with 2 counts of endangerment with a controlled substance in addition to 1 count of abandonment. Bowers pleaded not guilty to all charges in February. Bowers is expected to go on trial on April 19. March 21, 2022, Bowers appeared in court for a pretrial conference. Judge Catherine Svoboda confirmed an April 19 trial date and set a trial readiness appearance for April 11. March 25, 2022, Bowers appeared in court for a 3.5 suppression hearing, which is a hearing to determine if a statement by a defendant can be used as evidence in a trial. Judge Dave Edwards ruled a statement Bowers gave is admissible and can be used in court. Edwards scheduled another hearing for April 4 to enter an order regarding the hearing on March 25. A trial readiness appearance is still scheduled for April 11. March 28, 2022, Andrew Carlson was sentenced to 12 months in prison for 2 counts of endangerment with a controlled substance for exposing children to methamphetamine. He had no previous criminal history. He is eligible for early release as soon as August 2022. Under the endangerment charges, Andrew Carlson was accused of knowingly or intentionally permitting 2 of his dependent children to be exposed to, ingest, inhale, or have contact with methamphetamine. According to court documents, Oakley's siblings had extremely high levels of methamphetamines in their systems, suggesting they had either been exposed to the drug or may have ingested it. In addition to 12 months in prison, Judge Catherine Svoboda said Andrew Carlson cannot consume controlled substances, including marijuana or THC, without a valid prescription. He must also obtain a chemical dependency evaluation within 45 days of his release, follow up with any treatment recommended and provide proof to the court within 6 months of release. Svoboda set a chemical dependency evaluation for Andrew Carlson on September 12, 2022, adding, "If you don't get that, there is simply no hope you're not going to appear before me again." April 8, 2022, Bowers pleaded guilty in Grays Harbor County Superior Court to 2 counts of endangerment with a controlled substance. As part of the plea agreement, the abandonment charge was dropped. A sentencing date of April 22 was set. April 22, 2022 Judge Catherine Svoboda sentenced Bowers to 20 months in prison for 2 counts of child endangerment with a controlled substance. The charges, which are both Class B felonies, are not related to Oakley's disappearance. Bowers chose not to give a statement in court before she was sentenced. Due to her past criminal history, Bowers faced a longer sentence than Andrew Carlson, who had no previous criminal history. While a sentence of 15 months would be commensurate with what Mr. Carlson got, it would only be a 3-month difference, and that's not enough considering Ms. Bowers' additional criminal history, said Svoboda. In addition to 20 months in prison, Bowers is not allowed to have unsupervised contact with non-biological children under the age of 18. Any future contact with her children will be governed by the court in the dependency matters. I'm not saying Bowers can't be at a family function where there's children, but she shall not be the supervisor of those children, said Svoboda. There will be a responsible adult there to take care of them. May 2022 Governor Jay Inslee called for a review of the Department of Children, Youth, and Families, DCYF, handling of Oakley's case. Community members and advocates have raised questions on whether there were missteps or shortfalls in Oakley's placement and care, and whether the system tasked with keeping her safe failed. Advocates also demanded to know why DCYF didn't check on Oakley after she was returned to her parents. The investigation conducted by Office of the Family and Children's Ombuds, OFCO, found that the department's actions and conduct in this case were consistent with laws, policies, and court orders. OFCO did say that the investigation identified areas of improvement, specifically to preserve and strengthen the parent-child bond when a child is removed from the home. Andrew Carlson and Jordan Bowers. Andrew and Jordan claimed to have last seen Oakley on November 30, 2021. Neither of them reported her missing. The pair were arrested shortly after the welfare check and were later convicted of child endangerment regarding their 6-year-old child, Oakley's sister. Deputies learned during their investigation that Bowers and Carlson had not been providing medication to the 6-year-old as required by her doctor for over a year. Andrew was convicted in March 2022 and released in August of that year to a drug treatment program. Jordan was sentenced to 1.5 years in prison in April 2022, but she was released in January 2023. She was immediately arrested upon her release for fraud charges. Court documents allege that Bowers was a small-scale fraudster offering to help set up people's accounts for a Dave credit card, then routing the money to cards she took out in other people's names. Bowers' scheme was uncovered soon after she checked out of the extended stay America and was arrested. Andrew and Jordan remain uncooperative in the investigation into Oakley's disappearance, according to deputies. What's next? The reward for information on Oakley's disappearance is now at $85,000. Her foster mom, Jamie Jo Hiles, has been leading the charge to find Oakley and make changes in Olympia regarding system failures that allowed Oakley to be missing for nearly a year without raising any alarms. In January 2023, House Bill 1397, also known as the Oakley-Carlson Act, was written by Representative Jim Walsh of the 19th District. The Oakley-Carlson Act outlines a number of changes intended to protect children who have been removed from a parent based on abuse, neglect, or abandonment. The Oakley-Carlson Act will not only prevent this kind of thing from happening again, but if this kind of thing does happen again, it'll put us in better a position to find the missing child, said Walsh. Unfortunately, there were several times when Oakley wasn't with us. I would try to warn DCYF that something wasn't right, something was amiss, and unfortunately, I just wasn't heard, Hiles said at a rally for HB 1397. The bill is scheduled for public comment before the House Committee of Human Services on February 17. Anyone with information on Oakley's case is asked to call the Grays Harbor County Sheriff's Office at 360-964-1729.